Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the hidden financial mechanics behind the AI cloud infrastructure boom. Right now, if you look around, the market is absolutely laser focused on the staggering amount of capital being poured into data centers and GPUs. A lot of people are scratching their heads asking if this is just a massive cash burn. But today, we're going to look at the structural reality of the situation. We'll see exactly how big tech is transitioning from a period of heavy front-loaded investment into a highly insulated, totally unprecedented harvesting phase. Let's get into it.
So here is our roadmap for today. We are going to cover 4 interconnected pillars: the physical AI cloud shift, dual-track contract shields, the operating leverage engine, and finally, the impending profit explosion. Starting off with Section 1, the physical AI cloud shift. We're moving from time rentals to territory lock-ins. And to understand this, we really need to debunk a major misconception about the cloud model itself. Think about the traditional cloud for a second. It was kind of like renting a hotel room by the hour, right? Super flexible. In the legacy CPU era, you had virtual machines and logical partitioning. The whole strategy was basically just-in-time procurement. But for next-generation AI GPU clusters, it's a completely different ballgame. It's all about high-speed, networked cluster integrity. Because of massive supply chain constraints, that strategy has shifted entirely to just-in-case asset hoarding. Basically, the hourly billing model is dead. AI demands physical territory lock-in. The era of the flexible stopwatch model has been shattered, giving way to an unbreakable physical vault. For high-performance AI, you literally can no longer just rent time. To guarantee that a massive language model actually finishes training, enterprises must secure physical territory. This completely transforms the cloud from a flexible operational expense into a strategic, long-term asset lock-in. And that grants hyperscalers a historic economic moat. AI training demands unbroken physical integrity, eliminating traditional on-demand capacity. Just think about the physical imperative at play here. A single broken node breaks a massive synchronous training run. That forces customers to command entire, tightly coupled GPU clusters. With the traditional CPU cloud, demand was fluid. You could easily shift things across shared machines. But AI workloads, they simply cannot tolerate network latency or node drop-offs during model training. The sheer technical complexity of these interconnected clusters gives providers absolute pricing power. Which brings us right into Section 2, dual-track contract shields, or the architecture of the hyperscaler moat. Hyperscalers fundamentally separate financial price commitments from physical capacity reservations. This is a real game changer. They've totally decoupled price from capacity. What this means is you commit dollars for baseline discounts on track A, but you must also pay up front on track B just to secure the actual GPUs. Back in the day, committing to a dollar spend guarantees you available capacity on demand. Today, a general financial commitment absolutely does not guarantee you'll get a physical GPU when you actually need it. For example, AWS capacity blocks force upfront physical reservations, shifting utilization risk completely to the client. By requiring capacity reservations before the data centers are even fully built, hyperscalers just hand the utilization risk right over to the enterprise customer. If you want specific GPUs in specific regions, you have to execute these rigid, upfront reservations. You can't just flip a switch and turn AI Cloud on anymore. The compute must be locked down far in advance. And to show you this isn't just theory, let's look at this number: 50%. Over at Google Cloud, desperate customers are currently overconsuming their contracted resources by a massive 50%. AI demand is so incredibly intense right now that customers who committed to a baseline usage are just blasting right through it. This overconsumption acts as a high-margin overlay on top of their foundational long-term contracts, rapidly expanding operating margins purely on volume. At the exact same time, Microsoft Azure is squeezing an incredible 40% efficiency gain out of their hardware and software optimizations. And guess what? They are doing that without lowering customer prices. They're operating in an environment where supply strictly dictates maximum revenue. In fact, just by pulling data center activation forward by 6 weeks, they see immediate corresponding revenue spikes. It's wild. But this might be the most staggering number of all: $496 billion. AWS is sitting on a $496 billion committed backlog. This proves that their infrastructure is essentially pre-sold inventory all the way through 2028. This is the ultimate proof that current CapEx is not speculative. They aren't building data centers on a guess. They are directly responding to legally binding capacity reservations attached to facilities that aren't even built yet. Okay, moving on to Section 3.
The operating leverage engine. Let's see how they are scaling profits without scaling capex. So, repricing on depreciated hardware drops delta dollars straight to operating profit, or EBIT. As this hardware depreciates, every extra dollar gained from software efficiency and throughput optimization flows directly to the bottom line. That means profit scales exponentially faster than top-line revenue. Think about it like this. A single GPU today produces vastly more tokens per hour because of software batching and lower precision calculations. So even if the price per token stays flat for the customer, the unit cost to produce that token completely plummets. Also, the whole idea of hardware obsolescence, it's kind of a myth in this context. Fully depreciated GPUs simply cascade into mass inference, generating pure margin. Sure, the bleeding-edge Tier 1 flagship training runs take the absolute newest generation of hardware for the first 18 months or so. But after that, those older GPUs don't just go in the trash. They are shifted to power daily application inferences. After 36 months, they handle smaller batch jobs. The asset just keeps generating revenue long after its depreciation cost drops to zero. This creates a beautifully insulated, self-funding loop. Operating cash flow organically funds capex while absolute pricing power absorbs inflation. We are definitely seeing major cost inflation in raw inputs, like high bandwidth memory and power. But because of the chronic supply shortage, 100% of these cost increases can just be passed right into new contracts. This unprecedented internal cash flow funds their astronomical capex without requiring them to take on destabilizing external debt. Which brings us to our fourth and final section, the impending profit explosion. This is the mark-to-market catalyst. We really have to discard this fear of profitless overinvestment. Massive capex is not cash burn. It is the aggressive capture of high-yield assets. The broader market consensus tends to view these hundreds of billions of dollars strictly as an immediate margin drag. But the mechanical reality? They are securing structural monopolies. The market is completely mispricing the time lag involved here. Because here is the ticking clock. Current hyperscaler revenues are actually being artificially suppressed by legacy, low-cost, long-term contracts. True hyperscaler profitability is kind of obscured right now because a lot of customers are still riding out low-rate baseline agreements that they established way back in 2021 or 2022, before this AI boom really took off. But wait until we hit the renewal point. They will be generating exponentially higher revenue on the exact same depreciated hardware. Just look at the explosive margin upside gap opening up. When those pre-boom contracts expire, customers are forced to renew at massive spot prices on hardware that the hyperscaler has already totally paid off. This results in a monumental margin explosion. It's the exact same hardware, but marked to market at today's fiercely competitive prices. It is a massive windfall. So we've seen the flawless mechanics of the hyperscaler profit engine. But as we look to the horizon, this massive wealth transfer leaves us with one critical question. The infrastructure is absolutely locked in, but can downstream enterprise ROI actually absorb these structurally higher cloud costs? The businesses actually deploying these AI models to end users have to generate tangible ROI to justify this. That is the ultimate variable we all need to be monitoring in the coming quarters. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this helped clear up the incredible financial mechanics happening behind the scenes of the AI revolution. See you next time.